The landmark achievements of Otunba Oladele Olusegun are very numerous. All these were attested to by the staff and students of the college.
I'm happy to report that for infrastructure upgrade, we have almost achieved 90%. I'm sure in under 1 year, we'll have hit the 100% infrastructure. What we will now need to do is to maintain those structures on ground. And it's just, we had wanted to float a consultancy, training consultancy, that will also assist other schools in the areas of strength. I think that's now for my successor to take on. All other areas we tried our best within the limits of our financial resources to achieve what we have been able to achieve. And I'm happy to report one of those things we did first was to move the college from analog to digital world. The spur highway of information and communications technology was trained to the college when I came, and I had to enlist their support, have their contributions in terms of financial contributions, because I made sure that in my first 100 days in the college, 100 teachers had their laptops. I enlisted the support of SchoolNet and MTN to train and retrain the teachers in ICT, and it worked for us. Now, Kids College can boast of among the 104 unity colleges, we have the most vibrant website. Our operations are now more of 60% of digital and 40% of analog. And this year we have started the first major classroom of the 21st century with the GS1 series, where we now have a multimedia approach. The interactive board is now complementing the efforts, and teachers are now writing their digital notes.
Capacity building, training and retraining of staff, computer literacy of staff. He made sure all staff have laptops.
In terms of capacity building, he is the first principal, as I said, that made us to have laptops, encouraged us. We now keyed into one company that came and they paid instrumentally, and every teacher had a laptop. Then we were trained how to use interactive board, how to key in, computer literate and all that. So the majority of us now are computer literate through his efforts as a principal.
The ICT, he said his teachers could not type. They were illiterate as per the use of the computer when he came. So he made teachers get laptops at reduced price. He brought in agents to come and sell to them, even to pay instrumentally. And he gave training on how to use the computer, training. And he made sure that after the training, you must use it by giving you one assignment or the other. And by now, if you see, I can say 95%, if not more, of members of staff of this college, the teaching staff, can use the computer. Like teachers type questions, set your question for exam, you type it and you submit the soft copy and things like that. So almost all the teachers of this school are computer literate. He brought in this school and training and retraining of teachers.
Staff accommodation was very important. Very many staff now lives on campus, both at the main campus and the annex.
One of those things we have that marks a success story was that when I went round, there are no buildings housing the members of staff in the NS campus here. In fact, in the entire school, there are just less than 20 teachers living in the entire school, in both campuses. So I saw that one as a very, very great challenge. There was deficit in staff accommodation. Unlike a place like Janiki, where you have so many buildings housing the staff, here staff were just living among students. So many of our housemasters were patching up with students, and I felt that was not good enough for the type of college we want to bring up. Because if you are not careful, the teacher is as bad as the result of the college. So I felt that we need to upgrade and have teachers, have some dignity. So we started with that one. Infrastructure upgrade was key. And today, without looking at government finances, because we know that government is broke, and the capital allocation to the college comes in pottery sums. So we looked at the possibility of looking elsewhere, and with prudent financial management, all the resources that were available in the college were put into judicious use in such a way that we were able to build more than 4 additional staff houses, housing about 70 members of staff without recourse to government funding. We fixed the first, in the main campus we had a block of flats that had about 14 members of staff, and then we had another additional 2 when we were to construct the PTA building. And then in the annex here, the first major landmark we did was to build about 19 self-contained staff houses. After building that 19 and we saw it successful, we got money from government to have 7 flats for members of staff. That was the second one. And then we also had about 15 members of staff living in the next block of flats. And there was need to assist the NYC and the junior staff. So I did another building, and where all the corpers were lodged, and then where it also took part particular interest of the non-teaching staff, the drivers, the cooks, and then the caterers. So that building, and the artisans, that building is there now in the annex, housing the non-teaching staff and the corpers. Yes, again, we had issues with the rising population. There was need to look for suitable accommodation for the students. I must confess that one of the advantages I had with moving around, I was the chairman of the zone. I became the chairman of the zone in 2010. And then, 2011. And because of the zonal meetings we hold around the schools, I learned a lot of things from my colleagues. I must admit that when I got to Queen's College, I discovered that Ms. Ladipo had broached the idea of having the PTA to build an hostel for the girls. And that project was on. When I saw the beauty of that project, I quickly came to my PTA, wrote a letter to them in May, saying that they should assist us with the issue of accommodation. With a very dynamic PTA, under the able leadership of Emmanuel Riaki, the incumbent one, they started that project. And within 1 year, even the Coast Collect project that started in 2011 could not offer accommodation until this year. But our own that we started in 2012, by 2013, we have started using part of the accommodation. And today, as I'm speaking, 3 floors are being occupied by students. It has now provided enough accommodation in the main campus for now. I don't think once the project is completed, for the next 10 years, there will be no problem with accommodation of students. And
if you take a tour of the school, currently you will see so many buildings, hostels, staff quarters, infrastructure for gym, bakery, sports facilities, name them, that are ascribed to his tenure. And over this period, I keep on wondering how all these were possible, and that's why, you remember I said earlier on that it's an uncommon person. Because one will want to ask, what has happened in the past? Why are all these things happening within this short time? That's in terms of the infrastructure.
In terms of staff welfare, he is 1 out of a million who takes interest in making sure that the staff are comfortable. Before he came here, we had very few, then only one building for accommodation of staff. But now we can talk about 3, 4, 5 buildings, hosting, housing staff. About 80% of staff are on the compound, both campuses. They are on the compound, both campuses, residential, and then contributing to the adult presence in the college. There is this building up there with kitchen accommodations for staff, for kitchen staff. That building was just ground floor, but he came and raised it up, did the first floor, second floor, and all corpers of the college are accommodated there. So any corper posted to the college doesn't have a problem.
But since he came in, the testimony of staff in this school is there for everybody to see. When they will tell you that immediately PKC came, he turned very little space to mansion for staff to stay in, so that these children will be able to attend. The teacher will be able to teach them early morning lesson and very late lesson they take very late. You know, we have evening lessons. Some that miss their lesson, they will still go and do it after school. And if they live far away, there's no way than to abandon everything and start going. But since PKC, arrival of PKC, so many spaces, the places that have been called sheet island, they became high rise. You see building coming up all over, to the credit of PKC. If you are to check the population of staff that he has accommodated, that one alone is a breakthrough. Many staff are now living on the compound because PKC had that vision of making life easy for the teachers that are under him. I know of some building near Johnson, where very small portion like this, PKC turned into almost 8 chalets where staffs are living now. Even the Abuja hostel that I am a witness, a living witness, and the PTA hostel. The Abuja hostel did not have an issue, no plan to put staff quarters. But immediately they started, because they realized that yes, we can put staff quarters there, and they did. And there are staff quarters on Abuja hostel and this PTA multi-million naira building. That is the man we are talking about. The man that thinks about the welfare of the staff under him.
Now, the coming of PKC Olapeju is very, very significant in the sense that since the inception of the college, there's no principal that had attained, that had, invested significantly in the construction of physical infrastructure in the college. We now have, he was very concerned that, not much adult presence was noticed in the college, and as a boys' school and a boarding house, it requires constant adult presence to ensure that the boys, are well regimented and are well groomed to become responsible citizens of Nigeria. In fact, we are grooming global citizens in King's College. That is our goal. So he succeeded in doing that. We now have a significant number of teachers living on the premises and coordinating the activities of students in the college.
This new building, JS1 building, is one building. The one I stayed in there at the staff accommodation is another one. The one-bedroom apartment was done under his tenure. The completion of Abuja Hostel, the twin lecture theatre was done under his administration. I met that one year. It was an ongoing project when I came in, and it was done under his administration. So I think he has done well. I think he has done marvelously well. I think he has done. We should give him credit for that. He's done well. And the new the JS3 dining hall, that's another thing added to his credit. So he's done well. He's done well. So many things he has done, but these are major landmarks that he had put in place. All the assembly hall, the lecture theatre, the ICT, the JS1, the new JS1 block.
For instance, when he came newly, we would go around the college. He could even go twice a day. And when going, he would pick along any officer he met on the way. We walk around the college with him, trying to look at work that needed to be done and things like that. So one day happened to be one of those walking about with him. I remember a few of the others. And we got to the back gate where we have a staff quarters, and the basement was for parking of teachers' cars. When we got there, I said, this is a waste of space. I can get 2 or 4 rooms from this place and put my officers. Like everybody shouted, this place. He said, did I ask you? And that's the first major something that I can remember. Before long, he started the building, and 4 rooms and 4 officers were put there. And on and on and on and on like that. When I came to King's College, there is this part in annex, bushy part, and foundation there. Nothing was done since 1994 I came, until Otunba Oladele Olusegun came, and he built staff quarters, built hostel, was able to get the PTA to build a block comprising of staff quarters as well as dormitories.
When I got to King's College 2008, I was posted to the Annex campus. We have gymnasium, we have a tennis court, we have a bakery, we have so many other facilities that people are now enjoying. These students needed adult presence, but then we're just about I think about 5 or 6 that were living there then. But when Otunba came, it was just like magic. He turned things around. It started from the main campus here, and renovation work. And before you know it, if you go to Annex campus now, we have over 60 staff members that are living there. And so it's a great achievement in that sense. And in terms of staff welfare, every December we go home with chickens, we go home with bags of rice, we go home with cans of vegetable oil, and so on and so forth. In terms of capacity building, he had organized very, very many times capacity building for the teachers. And in terms of taking care of all these children, I think he is the first principal to introduce the eating of fried rice as in the menu of the students. He introduced fried rice. He brought in ice cream. He brought in so many other innovations And if you look around, you know, King's College, when I got to King's College in the year 2008, it wasn't like this.
My name is Oladele Olusegun. I'm the bursar for King's College. Like bakery, the completion of the staff quarters at the main feed at Annex, about 18 self-contained rooms. We started and then we called the work. That one was completed.
One of those things I also did was to encourage the members of staff in teamwork. And I discovered that so many members of staff don't have 1 naira added to their income. And there was a need to give them financial assistance. So we met a cooperative that was that had collapsed in the college, and there were lots of embezzlement of funds and so on. So we now started what we call the King's College Ventures. And the first year of the turnover of the ventures, we had to pay members who contributed, who bought shares, 100% dividend. So if you had 100,000, you got another 100,000 as your dividend. And that was a major breakthrough. There was confidence restored. And today, the share capital of that venture is about 15 to 20 million. I think it's about 50 million. So many members now are the contributors. And all the things that come into the coffers of the ventures are commonly shared. The talk shop of the college is under the control of the King's College Ventures. And I'm sure members of staff are now grateful that at least they can say they benefited from some of the things that fell from the crumbs that fell from the dinner table of the college. Another area that
also came up with this idea of KC Ventures. That we had before he is coming, we had shop, different people rented different kiosks all over the place. But he said no, put everything together and then hand it over to the staff. Then staff started running the talk shops, hired people to start monitoring the sales, and then that led into the KC Ventures. So teachers were made to, staff, not only teachers, academic, non-academic, to buy shares into the KC Ventures. And every year we go home with a handful of dividend, and everybody will be happy. Then from there, he also entered into bakery. The college has a bakery, which is partly co-sponsored by King's College and the Ventures. So in a week now, they eat bread 3 times in a week, and the bread is produced from the bakery. Students also go in there to learn how to bake once a while.
For example, I'm standing right in front of the e-library that was just almost finished, almost through its completion. And he's the one who pursued this project until the end. He's the first principal who is really pushing the use of electronic gadgets in education in Nigeria. He started with King's College, but we're still in the process. So he's like a mentor to other unity colleges who picked up from there. Secondly, he's the one who has motivated the PTA to start the new PTA hostel, which is just by my left-hand side. And also in the annex, he's the one who did the Abuja hostel. He did the new dining hall. I'm a witness to that. I was part of the first set of students who launched the new dining hall in the dining hall in the annex.
The so-called Sheet Island at Annex campus was turned to a sports complex, which includes a gymnasium.
Then there is one place there behind the field. Students used to call Sheet Island. That time, before he came, before 2010, when you look out there, you see papers all over the place. They call it Sheet Island. When you converted that place, and that used to be a very swampy place, you converted it to a sports complex. There we have basketball, we have tennis courts, we have a gym there. So all to the benefit of staff. Staff in the evening go there to play out their games again.
For us to measure the degree of success of a college. The tone of a college is one of those things that measures it is the performance of students at external examinations. In 2013, the college came first among its 104 unity colleges in the NECO exam. And this year, we have also done very well in terms of our performance at both the junior NECO exam for junior students and our external exam for the WASE for the senior school students. We had a better result this year. I think even in English language where I major, we had about 98% of students out of the 452. Only about 10 did not have credits in their subjects, so we had 98%. And only one student failed mathematics, only one student failed English language. I think that's a major achievement of the college, which I want my successor to be able to sustain and even surpass.
And with the support of the entire faculty in the college, we were able to achieve, good results in our WAEC exams, in the junior NECO exams, that's GS3. We have, we came first in the year 2013, and the number of candidates that we enroll for external exams, we have not, gone below 70% throughout the coming of PKC Olapeju. It had been 89, 90, 95, and so on. So academics have been very, very well taken care of. Then Otunba Oladele Olusegun believed very strongly in sports as part of development of young people. So when he came in, he succeeded in establishing an association named First Generation Heritage Colleges Association, comprising the first generation colleges in Lagos that were first established by missionaries, by government, and by private organizations.
Good food for the students.
And I felt that the only way you can sustain the interest of students in the boarding house is to replicate what they have at home. You might not get it, but at least you get near it. So we now operated the pastoral care of home away from home. Is it ice cream that you want? Give them in the school. Is it fried rice they want to eat? Give them in the school. Is it fried rice, Indomie? Give them in the school. And then so they will not think that boarding house is a place of punishment. And that has informed why when I came in 2010, there are more day students than boarding students in the school. Today, we have just less than 5% of our students. We have a population of 3,200 in the boarding house now, in the two campuses. And we have just about 150 students as day students, maybe due to their peculiar health challenges and due to the proximity of their parents to the campus. The actually is who that wears the shoe that knows where it pinches. Administering a complex society like King's College is like administering Nigeria itself. Of course, you know that King's College is the first federal public institution in Nigeria. It's the senior of all the universities that are owned by federal government, all the colleges of education, all the polytechnics, and all the other secondary schools. So every interest is here. If you sneeze, Abuja hears. And his parents are also very enlightened and so on. So the challenge of training boys alone, I recall that most of my visits to other schools, when there are co-educational institutions, the boys behave better because they are shy, they don't want to be punished in the presence of the girls. But here, boys, very, very tough boys, very, very strong boys, very, very adventurous boys. They want to experiment, they want to know why a fan is blowing, what is the power that powers this fan, and they want to touch everything. Very destructive. But we believe that socialization is necessary to be able to put the children into their right perspective and frame of mind. So I have always been very liberal. If you ask me as an administrator, as a leader, I'm tough, but I still empathize because I know some of these children, if they are well assisted, they can become the angels of this world. But if you leave them to their means, to their rusty means, then they become the demons that you don't like. So over the years, we have had the challenge of discipline or bullying. In fact, bullying in 2010 was like the rule rather than the exception. But today, we have been able to curtail bullying and reduce only bullying to just mere fagging. And then the students are better behaved now. And that's why one of those things I want to be sustained. Better behavior, better performance, better respect.
Otunba Oladele Olusegun has this advice to parents on the education of their children. Education, for all, is the responsibility of all.
The challenge that we have mostly is on funding and of maintenance of old structures. We thank the federal government for all its efforts, but we know that federal government alone cannot fund secondary education. The reality is that parents must be up and doing in paying for the funding of their children. Because if you do not fund properly, you cannot get well-trained students who can match global quality of what is obtainable elsewhere.
His advice to the government on the future of King's College and secondary school education in Nigeria in general.
Another area of challenge that I think I want to mention is the fact that government must come to terms with the issue of King's College and its future. King's College was the first institution that started HSC in this country. And most of the products of King's College and the products of HSC are more mature when they get to the university. So we had an advocacy for return of HSC, which had even been approved by the Federal Executive Council, but implementation was suffering. And we felt that King's College should be allowed to just have a pilot phase of return to HSC. Up till now, we are still waiting for government to give us a nod. Meanwhile, this is a program that we don't want government to even fund. Parents are ready to fund it. It's just to create the enabling environment. The teachers are there, and the support will just be there. In the Annex campus here, for instance, we have so many of the laboratory features. They are still there, wasting away. Some universities don't get those facilities that we have here in the Annex. So I think government should look at that area again and see the possibility of allowing us to return to the HSC program. And by and large, I think that the 633 system of education has not actually worked. Students at the junior level don't see themselves as having to have a terminal nature of their education. So we still hold on to the 6-year secondary education. Why not go for 6-year secondary education, no 6-3-3-4, and then allow some students to have a stopgap between secondary and tertiary in the HSA schools, A-level schools, so that they get more mature before they get into the university. Some of the students are graduating now from secondary school at the age of 14, and by the time they get to university, they don't have the mental, the physical and mental ability combined to be able to withstand tertiary education. So if you have a stopgap like an HSC school, A-level school, I think it's better for the system.
Thank you.